Hello and welcome to the Premier Injuries channel. Today, we've got the brilliant Gianni Buttice on. As always, he's sporting an excellent football shirt. I mean, do you want to talk us through the shirt before we get into the 11, Gianni?
Well, I like to mix it up on the wall behind me. So I've gone for sort of international shirts, knowing the Euros are on, and Premier League season hasn't started yet. Most of my shirts are sort of Serie A ones. So I've gone for the old AC Milan shirt. I think it's about 2012-13. I think it was Pirlo's last season. Pirlo 21 on the back before he went to Juve. But Milan won the league this year. My dad's a big Milan fan, so gone for the Rossinieri today.
So in terms of the team that we're talking about, though, we are doing a differential 11. If people tune into the channel, Dinnery is the differential man. He loves a kind of outrageous pick. So we've made this with him. So I've done it off air with Ben. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. Our schedules just didn't line up for it. So I've got a few comments from him, almost like I'm speaking on behalf of an MP or something. You know,
amazing. Differential Dinnery is still part of this. I love it.
Yeah, his memory lives on with all of us. He'll be back on the channel, of course, for everybody. But in terms of it, he's not here today. Sorry to disappoint, but we've got you, Gianni, who is just as good. But yeah, I guess let's start with the back line. We've gone for Meslier. So I will kind of talk about when we disagreed on certain things there, but
nice.
Kind of from our perspective at Premier Injuries, it was quite interesting because Leeds had one of the worst injury records last season. Maybe part of the reason for putting Meslier in it is because surely they must have an improvement this time around, Gianni.
It's so weird because there are so many good 4.5 million goalkeeper options, and I still don't think there is a standout. And Meslier is actually the guy I've gone with in my draft too. So Pickford, Sanchez, Meslier, Raya is the one that's getting the most amount of love. But knowing we're probably all going to wildcard either at like game week 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 or 9, we'll be wildcarding within the first 10 weeks, the vast majority of managers. And with that in mind, you look at that first set of fixture run, and I think Meslier's got the best set of fixtures until that point. And I also think we're all judging Meslier on Bielsa football, on Bielsa's Leeds. Most of those stats from last season are Bielsa's Leeds. I think Jesse Marsch's Leeds is going to be pretty tight. And I saw signs of that at the end of last season, but I think we'll see more of their work in pre-season, and it will be a proper Marsch team now. I don't think they'll score a huge amount, but I don't think they'll concede a huge amount either.
I think as well with the pre-season, they've got a proper pre-season. So from the injury perspective, hopefully that means that they'll have more preventative measures in there, because the season before, the Premier League, everything was rushed because of Euros, because of COVID and everything like that. And hopefully with a more normal season, we see Leeds kind of get back to themselves, because on their day, they're fantastic. You remember the end of...
So good.
Not last season, but the season before.
They're amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, and their data towards the end of that season in terms of defence was pretty damn good too. They had a good run of clean sheets. But one bit of data that you might like, Gianni, for kind of the points, he makes 3.7 saves per 90.
He's always been busy, isn't he?
So he'll get you an extra point there. Maybe if he doesn't keep a clean sheet in those first few games, at least he might pick up a few points here or there, maybe even a bonus. So I think that was kind of our thinking there. And then we've kind of covered with the fact, Clayson there as backup in case Meslier doesn't start.
Again, I like that. If you're going for 4.5 and the second choice keeper at the club is 4.0, that's really nice. If one doesn't play, the other one's in.
Yeah, it gives you such good coverage and everything. And that's kind of what we've done as well with this differential 11. Obviously, it's part of kind of a fun exercise to look at the differentials, but we wanted to talk a bit of our tactics as well, have as many playing players as possible, because there is going to be a lot of rotation. But you've got the team in front of you as well, Johnny. Yeah. Do you want to pick one of the defenders that we've gone with?
Ooh, I think we should talk Chilwell, because... big at the back's obviously a big thing at the moment, and we're all looking at the obvious candidates. Now, I include Reece James in there when I say obvious candidates. Chilwell, I think his ownership's around 10%, so he's gotten a little bit of love, and he's probably the highest owned player in this 11-ish, I'm guessing. But that's still not much, considering when Chilwell plays football in the Premier League for Chelsea, he is an FPL god. He isn't in my team, and I do have Reece James, but the differential 11 with Chilwell in, I can see why you'd go there. And it is a bit of a coin toss.
Yeah.
Coin toss. Did I say coin toss? It's a bit of a coin toss.
I mean, you're making up new phrases now, Gianni. I love it. A coin toss. In terms of Chilwell, so we brought him in for this reason, kind of low-owned, interesting, huge ceiling, especially with Chelsea, third/fourth best defence through last season, if you look at the underlying data.
Yeah.
But there's the flip side. There is the fact, obviously, he's come back from ACL injury. Now, we've talked on this channel, and if people want to check it out, Dr. Matt Preventure said players usually take 2 seasons to get back to their athletic peak after an ACL injury. So we might see Chilwell good. We might not see the best Chilwell. But there's this other thing that I want to talk to you about, actually, Gianni, with the Chelsea defence. Yeah. Rudiger's gone, Christensen, Thiago Silva. We're seeing Koulibaly come in. Is that going to be enough, though?
Well, with Thiago Silva still there, I think out of all the players I wanted to keep, of course, Rudiger was one. Keeping Thiago Silva is big. Him having another year at this football club, he's so pivotal if we're playing the back three system, because he plays that central role so well where you can sweep, but you can control the tempo and you can pass. I was a bit worried by some of the names Chelsea were being linked with. Ake for one. Now, by the time this goes out, I'm pretty sure we'll know that Ake's staying at City. That's the party line today anyway. And I'm pleased about that as a Chelsea fan. And we also know Koulibaly's going to be signed. So Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and say Aspi in a back three is actually really nice. And Chalobah's done well when he's played. There's talk that Kowal could stay. So it's looking better. Chelsea are still short of centre-back, but absolutely going to buy another one, and they'll be a good level. They'll probably be a higher level than Ake. Would love a De Ligt. I don't think that one's going to happen. But, you know, a Jules Koundé would be amazing, and he's been linked with Spurs as well. Kimpembe at PSG's been linked. So the Koulibaly signing is amazing. Like, he is as good as you'll find. And I know he's 31. That's, for him, that's fine. He's showing no signs of slowing down. So I think there's still plenty of clean sheets at Chelsea.
You're, much more fay with the Serie A as well. So what is Koulibaly's style? Because is he going to replicate any of that Rudiger madness, charging up the field with the ball, or is he more of a defensive defender? Yeah,
he's probably not as offensive as Rudiger, but he can go on those runs. He is the most two-footed centre-back you'll find. He's as two-footed as you'll find. He knocks 60, 70-yard cross-field balls off both feet. Like, there's very few centre-backs that do that. Pinpoint accuracy. So he's an incredible footballer. He's very comfortable bringing it out, and he's happy taking on a player with a little trick. Like, he doesn't go on quite those mad runs that Rudiger did. He's obviously a goal threat at set pieces. He's because he gets his head on everything. But for me, his best trait is his recovery and his pace, and that sort of sliding tackle, that 50-50 that he never seems to lose. So genuinely, as much as I love Rudiger, and he was amazing in the last 18 months, Koulibaly's the better player for me. Koulibaly's been elite for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Rudiger's been elite for 18 months. Koulibaly's an upgrade.
Wow.
Short term, he's an upgrade. Long term, he might not be because he's older. But short term, he's an upgrade.
That's a big statement. And I think one last question before we get on to the others. The fact that you've said there, he's kind of a defensive defender, he's an upgrade. Do you think that allows Chilwell to play more freely? You know, Reece James, Chilwell can bomb on. Kind of it's safe in the knowledge.
Yeah, possibly. Because with Rudiger, you never quite knew if he was going to go on a run. And if he does, you look at the left wing back and go, oh, do you have to drop a little bit? So, yeah, quite possibly. But Chilwell and Reece James, as long as Chelsea are playing the back three, they're encouraged to be wide forwards. These guys aren't defenders. Tuchel describes it as a front five, back five formation. It's not, they're not even wing backs. They're effectively, they're the wide forwards. So, and then the two wide men, your Sterlings and your Mounts, they'll be quite narrow. So Chilwell at 6 million, if he's fit, he's going to be an amazing value. And look, the other defenders in there too, like Dean at 5 million, we know what he can do. Doherty, if he starts, although, you know, of course, Jed Spence is going to get a lot of minutes, so he's a rotation risk, but there's huge attacking threat from those three players.
Yeah. Let's move it on to Dean then, because the reason why I brought him in, Villa impressed me towards the end of last season. Potential for clean sheets is there. That's the kind of first thing. Always with these picks, bread and butter. And they had the 8th best defensive record since Gerrard took charge in terms of clean sheets and in terms of XG conceded. The problem for the team was kind of going forward, but maybe with this kind of summer, with this working with the team, they might start making more high quality big chances. And Dean's going to be involved with that, isn't he? Also, Diego Carlos and Kamara in the middle. I mean, surely that's going to open Dean up, and obviously Matty Cash on the other side for that more attacking ability. So for me, it's an exciting pick. It's under the radar. What do you think on it though, Gianni?
My issue with Villa at the moment is goals from their forwards. As good as Watkins has been, I'm never sure if he's an out-and-out 9. If Dean was crossing for a predator, someone with a predator's instinct, your number, let's say he was crossing for Harry Kane every week, Dean's assists would just shoot up, as would Matty Cash's. Now, look, they still get their good share of assists and expected assists, but I would like to see a predator number 9 at Villa to increase that threat. But nevertheless, Dean is a goal threat. He's on a lot of set pieces. Villa have strengthened down the spine of their team at centre-back and centre-mid. Very, very good signings. Like, I think Villa are going to have a good season. And I think at 5 million, Dean's a bargain. And probably along that, in that 5 million tier, he's as good as you get alongside probably Doherty when he starts. And Trippier is the other one that comes to mind. So, yeah, good value.
Well, let's talk about Trippier's teammate then, Dan Burn. I put him in for part of the reason that Trippier, I think, enables him to do well. I like Newcastle. I think they're going to have a fantastic season. Eddie Howe, in that kind of second half of the season, Newcastle were really, really good, like unbelievably so.
Yeah.
Nick Pope between the sticks as well, going to
upgrade
more clean sheets. But Trippier delivering balls onto Dan Burns' head. I mean, that's a match made in heaven, isn't it? What do you think on that as a 4.5?
It's a very good backline now. You put Botman in there as well, and the clean sheet threat. Botman and Nick Pope, both huge upgrades. They've got Matt Targett and Trippier. It's a quality looking team Newcastle have produced, and Eddie Howe's done a great job. But I do think 4.5, Dan Burn is one of the good defenders in there. Whether or not he's the best, I don't know. For someone that's as tall as he is, and I think he might be the tallest outfield player. If he's not, he's close to it. Yeah. Okay. So he's definitely up there. But I don't think he ever scores a huge amount of goals. And I often look at Dan Burn and think, why are you not like scoring 5, 6, 7 goals a season? Because you look at the likes of Harry Maguire or Lewis Dunk, they always look like they can get 5. Or Rudiger, they can get 5 goals a season. Van Dijk. Dan Burn's taller than these guys. Now, height doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be great at attacking the ball in the air, but Dan Burn is very good at attacking the ball in the air. We've seen that defensively. We don't always see it offensively, but look, at 4.5, you can't wish for loads of goals. Like, if you're getting 6 points every week, you've done well. And Dan Burn offers the 6 point, but he also does well in the BPS from memory, and he does have that threat. He just needs to improve that threat.
I mean, Burn versus Dunk. Do you think there's a good debate there?
Brighton, do you know what I often do? Instead of going player versus player, if they're the same price, right? Similar to, I go, do I want a Newcastle defender or a Brighton defender? What team is going to concede fewer goals? What team concedes fewer chances? What team has got better fixtures? And at the moment, I'd probably say Newcastle edge it from what we saw at the end of the last season. And I think Nick Pope's a fantastic signing. And Sanchez, the jury's still out there. So I think I would probably, as much as I've said I prefer Newcastle, I prefer the goal threat of Lewis Dunk. So it's a coin toss. I wouldn't go for either because I don't go for centre-backs. Personally, I very rarely go centre-backs. So I would probably go, I don't know, Johnny at 4.5 or, 8 Nori. Yeah, but they're both very good options, mate. Well, you're a Burn fan, I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's my bias because of Ben as well. Too
many hours with Ben.
He's corrupted me. He's changed my analytical mind to one of emotion. Let's move it on to. I mean, we've got Patterson in now. I think he's just the 4.0 enabler, so we won't talk about him. You've mentioned him already once, Doherty. I mean,
yeah.
Do you worry about the Jed Spence threat, the fact that he could be coming into the club? And also, we do have to talk the fact he had an MCL injury. Realistically, MCL injuries are not that serious. you recover quite quickly. It's got a good blood supply to that ligament. But in terms of it, there's still always that question mark of the fact that he didn't make international duty. But on the flip side, maybe the fact that he didn't play any international games, he's focused fully on recovery. He's gone through that Conte ridiculous pre-season training. What do you think on the Spurs man?
We thought he was going to be out. Like, we thought he wouldn't be a Conte player. We thought Emerson Royale was above him. And then he finished the season just before the injury and looked amazing. He's got a good relationship with Kane. He gets up and down. He does what Conte wants, which is wing-backs get into the back stick from when the cross comes in the other side. And Doherty's got a bit of that. We saw that a lot at Wolves. We didn't see it much at Spurs before Conte. So he likes him. Now, look, Jed Spence, I'm sure by the time people watch this, he's probably been signed. Like, the world's biggest secret that Jed Spence is going Spurs. But what we know about Jed Spence is he'll be joining Spurs a couple of weeks before the game week 1. He hasn't gone on the pre-season tour of Korea. Conte wing-backs especially, not just Conte players, but Conte wing-backs especially, need a lot of time on the grass with Conte because it's a very unique role and he asks so much of them, and their fitness has to be not just good, it has to be outstanding to be in the 11, which is why he wants 3 right wing-backs. He wants Spence, Doherty and Emerson Royale, and he wants Reguilon, who's probably going to go. So he wants Sessegnon and he wants Perisic. So at the moment, potentially 6 wing-backs, probably 5, because I think Reguilon will go. And Doherty can actually play on the left too. So I think game week 1, 2, and maybe 3, Doherty is probably safe for starts. When Spence gets his chance, if he does well, he'll be in. And even if he doesn't do well, they will rotate. So for the game week 1, 2, maybe 3, I don't mind a punt on Doherty at all. After that, jury's out, but that's no reason why you can't pick him early on, because the Southampton, I think, is on the opening day. Lovely fixture. Yeah.
Let's move to the midfield then. As I've said, you've got the picks on there. Which one do you want to start off with?
Oh, the mid. Yeah. I mean, the obvious enabler in there is like Pereira. Gordon's an enabler. I think De Bruyne is the exciting differential to be discussing. He is high. I was going to say overpriced, but that's probably not fair. Like, we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne here, the best footballer in our league, potentially. 12 million, and he's just had an out-and-out world-class number 9 signed for his team. So all that creativity can be channeled towards an absolute deadly finisher in Haaland. So look, of course, 65%-ish have gone for Haaland. His ownership's huge. We're probably overlooking KDB a bit because he's a monster. And I think what we saw at the end of last season was KDB playing slightly higher, almost as a 10. And I think that's where we're going to see him a lot, especially with the Phillips signing. Phillips and Rodri could even play together, which would allow KDB to be even more attacking. So KDB definitely one to watch.
That is a great imagination there. Maybe KDB is a 10, just kind of behind.
Honestly, like, it's weird. The Phillips signing makes me question maybe Pep will do something a little bit different. But regardless, you know the new rule, Jace, where you're allowed unlimited transfers from the World Cup, game week 16.
Yeah.
Game week 14 and 15, knowing you've got unlimited transfers, you might want to go a little bit rogue for a couple of weeks, knowing you can put it right. KDB has Fulham and Brentford at home in those 2 weeks. Jeez. So, for example, Salah has, I can't remember, I think it was Spurs. I think Salah has one easy-ish game and one difficult game. That could be, you might take a punt on KDB for those 2 home games. Brentford and Fulham at home, just for the World Cup. So, yeah, one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is I've gone against the grain. I've actually got De Bruyne in my team already. So
have you?
Yeah. So this part of this, differential 11 is actually based on what Ben and I have gone with.
Yeah.
I love
players you actually really like.
Yeah, and I think this is the reality of the situation. I think De Bruyne last season, first half was his injury coming back from the Euros. And then we saw his true self. He was unstoppable. He was a monster. He was properly scary. And I don't think that Haaland changes that at all. If anything, it makes him an even better prospect because he'll be assisting him. Haaland will play off him and allow him, opportunities in the box as well. The problem with Haaland for the Premier League is he's going to be a distraction. People are going to be thinking about him and then they'll forget, De Bruyne, Mahrez, or all these other people. And what I like about De Bruyne in comparison to maybe Haaland, maybe to to Grealish to others in the team, he's pretty much nailed each week. Whereas we know historically with Pep, this might not happen because Haaland is something else. He's a different beast. But Pep likes to bring in players, doesn't he, over a course of a few weeks. Yeah. And it frustrates people. We saw it with Grealish, though. He was not nailed in the team through much of the season, despite them paying 100 million. He did have his injuries as well, granted. But, the fact is that Pep is not very easy to predict, apart from De Bruyne.
Yeah, like when you look at that Man City team and go, who is absolutely safe, unless they really need a rest and they're in the red zone or they're injured, it's KDB, it's Cancelo. And last season it was Laporte, and the season before that it was Diaz. But even last season, Diaz wasn't 100. So, those attacking front three spots, for example, no one ever has been. But I do think Haaland will be the exception to that rule, but time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything on that because Haaland... he's world class. He's a different beast, isn't he? Let's move it though to my team, Arsenal. Saka. Now there's a lot of love for Jesus.
Mate, a crazy amount of love for Jesus. What's going on? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I mean, it's the fact that
bandwagon.
Yeah, the fact that he's playing centrally for Arsenal, but you look at Lacazette last season, you look at Aubameyang, they didn't do too well. Arsenal had a big problem with creating big chances. They were bottom, was it 3 or 4? I can't remember off the top of my head.
That low, wow,
yeah, pretty bad kind of data. I think Jesus will help remedy that, but Jesus. Will probably play more like a Firmino at Liverpool. He'll be helping the inside forwards. Saka, I think, whether it be Martinelli, Smith Rowe, whoever coming off the right, from
the left
to their right, will have a lot more opportunities. And so Saka, midfielder, his goals count for more points. He'll either be scoring or assisting Jesus. I would rather go with the proven person in the Arsenal 11 with Saka.
He's the main man, isn't he? Like Saka's been the main man at Arsenal, carrying that team in terms of an attacking sense for the last 2 years. And last season, when we saw things get sort of gritty for Arsenal, it was Saka that was stepping up. I don't know, Jesus has been signed to be the big fish in a smaller pond than what he's used to, and maybe that'll be good for him, but he's never been a deadly finisher, knowing the team doesn't create a huge amount of chances for their number 9. Like, look at Lacazette's goal-scoring numbers last year. He became an assister, if anything, almost as a false 9, bringing in Saka and Martinelli and Smith Rowe. So I'm with you. I think if Jesus is getting so much love, then Saka absolutely should be. I look at that Arsenal attack, though, and think with their European football midweek, because remember, Arsenal didn't have European football last season. And because of that, they were spending a lot of time in the training ground. They were fresh every weekend. And we saw they were really good with it. That's Leicester this season, by the way. So again, Leicester are a team to watch out for who won't have that. So I'm looking at players like Harvey Barnes and thinking, I want him in my team. Because of no midweek fixtures. But Arsenal, if I want Arsenal attack, do I want to spend 8 million on an Arsenal attacker when I could go and buy a Luis Diaz or a Havertz for that sort of money? Or do I want a Jesus or a Saka? Probably just go Martinelli for 6. Now, is he as good as Saka and Jesus in terms of goals and assists? Maybe not quite. And sure, you've got that added threat of Smith Rowe playing there and a little bit more rotation. But for me, Martinelli is, at the moment, going to be starting game week 1. He is in that first choice 11 and potentially on penalties over Jesus, because Jesus, again, has got a terrible record. And Martinelli, I think, is just above Saka in terms of penalty hierarchy. So, for me, you probably still swerve Saka and go Martinelli, who both could be in this differential team, couldn't they?
Yeah, they're both low owned, but high opportunities then, and I think better than Jesus. Final one in midfield is Son. I don't know if we really need to explain why you should have him. The question is, why isn't he in more teams, Gianni?
It's purely based on Haaland and Salah. Like, it's Haaland and Salah's fault. You can have Haaland, Salah and Son, but then you can't have anyone in that 8 million price band, which a lot of managers seem to like, that Diaz, Mount, Kulusevski, Foden, Mahrez price point. I mean, he's last he was the second best player in the game, wasn't he? He just went up a level. You look at his heat and touch maps, he's more advanced than Kane. He's still listed as a midfielder. he's worth the extra 0.5 on Harry Kane, in my opinion. Kane, of course, is the penalty threat, but Son's also, people forget, takes all the set pieces too. So even if, Dyer pops up with a header, it's from a Son assist from a corner. I want him in my team. He's the person I'm most worried about, Jace. He's not in my team. And most of my drafts don't include him, and I need to try and figure that out. Big at the back is also the problem, isn't it? If you've gone Haaland and Salah, which I have, and you're a big at the back believer, as I am too, you can't have it all. Something's got to give. And for me, it's been Son, which is mental, because Spurs under Conte have been the best team in the league pretty much.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And actually, you've kind of semi-spoiled my next question.
Oh, no.
Son versus Kane. It's absolutely fine. You've answered it, and you've given the same answer I would. I would pick Son over Kane as well.
Would you? He's worth the 0.5 in your opinion, more.
100%.
Yeah.
One of the big things, and you'll know the man, Gianni Vio from the Italian national team.
Set piece coach, yeah.
He's joined Tottenham.
Yeah.
I mean, Spurs, with the players that they have, they're already got that aerial threat. They weren't fantastic at set pieces last year. Conte said it himself in March. We got to improve that. They've done, the marginal gains there. Son is even more improved then, because he'll be on those set pieces there. So, we've got Kane in there. We don't need to cover him. Havertz, I mean, this one caused a debate, almost a rupture of the relationship between me and Ben.
I heard, mate. I've heard about this.
So Havertz was his pick. I wanted Ivan Toney, but we agreed that, we will go for Havertz in this pick. So do you want to kind of explain, as a Chelsea fan as well, why maybe I'm wrong and Ben's correct?
Chelsea don't have a number 9, right? Well, they do. They have one, and his name's Kai Havertz, but people see Havertz as a midfielder playing out of position. I think this is his breakthrough year, and people forget he's still like a 22-year-old. He's going to have a season where he is first choice in a position from game week 1. And I think it's his best position. Now, is he an out-and-out number 9 for a Conte? Maybe not. Is he an out-and-out number 9 for a Tuchel? Yeah, like his number 9 play is all about technical, bringing players in, smart movement off the ball. Chelsea aren't a team that need a poacher. They don't get a huge amount of crosses in despite having the wing backs. Like, they're often cutting in. Like, that's what Lukaku's problem. Chelsea don't go get the ball from back to front quickly. They're tiki-taka. And that suits Kai Havertz. That didn't suit Lukaku. Havertz will get chances. And we saw in glimpses last year, like, he was brilliant. I captained him in game week, 30-something, 46 points. Like, I had terrible captaincy last season, including I went against Salah when he got the 23 points, so 46. And Havertz blanked against Norwich when he played as the number 9 against Norwich, and Chelsea won 7-0, and every Chelsea player returned other than Havertz. But I think he's a brilliant footballer. He's one of my favourite players in the league. He's one of my favourite players at Chelsea. I think he got goal of the season last year. It was against Ben's Newcastle. Dan Burn and Havertz were having a right scrapple game. Jorginho with a 40-yard ball over the top, the touch on the left foot from Havertz, and the same foot finish to score the winner. Do check that out on YouTube if you haven't seen that goal. Havertz versus Newcastle. He's going to have a big season, mate. And look, he's been moved from midfielder to forward, which I'm unhappy about from an FPL point of view, but it's the right call. He is going to play as number 9, and he's not a false 9. Like, people think it can be quite lazy to call a midfielder like Havertz, or someone we've seen play midfield, he's playing false 9. Havertz doesn't play false 9. Havertz plays as a 9. Like, he is suited to that role and plays for Germany as their number 9. He is a number 9, and he just needs to get more consistent, but we've seen it in phases, and we're going to see consistency from him, I'm sure. 8 million is a great price, still a good price.
I guess as well, Tuchel showed that he kind of picked Havertz over Lukaku as well, in that kind of battle between who to go for. And I think you're right in many instances. And this is why, joking aside, this was a difficult decision for me and Ben. I wanted Ivan Toney just because I felt like he's a bit cheaper, and he gave me a bit more kind of substance for my team as well. So maybe I could upgrade, somebody in the midfield there. But at the same time, this is why we're discussing it. I liked Brentford towards the end of last season, but again, the fact that we might be playing early wildcards, we shall see if that was the Eriksen effect. If it's not, and the Brentford team, they brought in some very exciting signings with Hickey and is it Lewis Potter as well?
Yeah,
the other
from Hull. Yeah,
yeah. So it'll be interesting. The Lewis Potter signing says to me they're going to play a 4-3-3. That means that Potter's like another inside forward to play and cut in off the right. And then that means that Tony can concentrate more on goal. They'll have a bit more creativity. But again, Brentford were one of those teams, they play the fast kind of counter-attacking football, and at times they were over-reliant on Tony for the link-up play. So there's positives and negatives to that one as well. But we're going to end with maybe a breakout player for this season.
Yes.
Undav at Brighton. So I've done a bit of research here. And
I love your research here, Jace. This is outstanding. Like, I think people are going to hear this and put him in their teams. I really do.
This has convinced me because a lot of people have talked about Neto. He's at the same price, isn't he? Gordon
as a midfielder, yeah.
Also at the same price. And then maybe if he's nailed, this could be a really good one. So looking at analysis of him, Undav does a lot of good things right. He's a good ball progressor, nice passing and dribbling numbers, but very hard working as well. So he's good at that kind of press. Forward defensive data, pretty outstanding. But what stood out for me was 25 goals from 20.5 XG. Let's say, though, this is the Belgian league.
Pinch of salt, yeah.
Yeah, we have to also say historically, maybe look at Wesley at Aston Villa and Samatta as well. Maybe, what's the matter you? What's the matter with Belgian strikers? Maybe that's the question that we have to ask. But the huge positive is Brighton underperformed their...
They always do. Yeah. They always do. And they've needed a finisher for a long time.
This is the point. And so maybe if Undav can keep up his pretty damn high shot accuracy, 42% on target, then that's a 26th percentile in European top 5 leagues. Obviously, it's not a European top 5 league. But if he can get near to that, get more shots on target, at least match his XG, maybe not overperform it. Brighton are going to be very good in attack last season. They underperformed by about 12 goals in terms of XG. So this could be a good one, but it is the PL thing versus Belgian league. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Is he worth the punt just for a 5.5?
If we see him start in game week 1 and he plays well, he'll be in everyone's team by game week 4-5. There is no 5.5 starting striker that's any good, right? This is a top 10 team, Brighton. He could even be on pens. No manager rotates more than Potter, though. Like, Potter's way worse than managers like Pep. But one thing Potter part of the reason why I think he rotates so much, especially up top, he's not had a guy he can completely trust. And Welbeck's always injured. Mopé's never been completely like Potter's man. Undav might just be it. I couldn't believe it when I saw his transfer fee was something like 6 million. And then I realised why. The transfer was made the season before last, or the start of last season. So a year ago. They transferred him and loaned him straight back. So his value now, off the back of the season you've just said, Jace, is so much higher, but they got him at 6 mil. So don't be put off by the fact he's only worth 6 million. Like, he's not. He's way better than that. So I'm going to be watching him very closely pre-season. This is one that you're watching and looking at the numbers. What minutes does he get versus Mopé and Welbeck pre-season, and how does he perform? Because if we think he's going to start game week 1, maybe you go with him from the off. If you don't and you want an early wild card, he'll be in your team if he's a starter, I think, because the price, like Welbeck and Mopé, are 7 million. That shows us that the FPL algorithm thinks the Brighton number 9 should be 7 million, right? And they're not sure which one it will be. Well, Undav was 5.5. So, if he's starting for Brighton, you're getting someone under 1.5 undervalued and potentially better than that because he's probably a better finisher than Mopé and Welbeck.
And one final point in terms of FPL, it's supposed to be a fun game. And if Undav does well, it could be the Jamie Vardy, but German version.
Oh, God, imagine.
Because he's gone from tier 4 up to, he's tier 4 Germany. Then he's gone like tier 2, tier 1 in Belgium. Let's say that's kind of championship level.
Yeah.
This could be Vardy 2.0 if they kind of match that data. But in terms of it, that is our differential 11.
Yeah.
If you want some more analysis, we're going to rate people's teams. So make sure to stay subscribed to that. We're going to be releasing those videos over the next coming days. So stay subscribed. But for now, Gianni, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure as always to chat to you.
Mate, it's been lovely coming on. It's been a while and I look forward to being back. And I can't wait for those Rate My Team bids. So guys, do check them out because I might be, I'll be generous at times, but I'll be harsh at times too.
Oh, Gianni can be a very harsh man in terms of it. I've been at the end of it as well. Check those out and we will see you again very soon.